I finally got my hands on one of these. Hello everybody, welcome to Bish's RV here at my hometown Coldwater, Michigan superstore, and behind us a model I've been trying to get my hands on for a year and finally did it here. The front kitchen rear bed slide Catalina. This is an ultra popular floor plan. Like if you look at Rockwood and Freedom Express and tons of builders, they have a floor plan like this. But most of the time, they're in that high dollar laminated price point. And Catalina's not the first one to do this in a stick and tin, certainly. It's actually very much a classic layout that's kind of being reintroduced and repopularized in the marketplace. It's kind of funny, what goes around comes around, kind of like bell-bottom pants. When I was a kid going through high school, bell-bottoms came back in style, but they didn't want to call them bell-bottoms, so they called them flares. But, you know, it's the same thing. Anyway, what are we looking at here? So you're getting the Catalina stick and tin price point, but you're getting a taller ceiling, carpetless slide. They've got a really good look, and this one's actually kind of special. In the Catalina lineup, this one has a custom-built front end. It doesn't follow the normal shape and curvature in the nose area that most of the Catalinas do, and as a result, it gives this thing good front counter space. It brings in that front window windshield and tons of cabinet space. This one actually has like a double pantry situation going on. But one of the things I think is kind of cool is they utilize part of the second pantry for a neat little outdoor mini kitchen. So you kind of got little kitchen inside, little kitchen outside. There's storage under the bed, which is really important because one of the hiccups with a lot of front kitchens, they don't usually have awesome outside storage. We have an enclosed belly. It's got a finally ladder prep to get up to the walkable roof. Catalina's have had a walkable roof for years, but nobody knew it because they didn't have ladder prep on the back, so everybody assumed that they didn't. They also have one of those cool little like party kind of awning light things and a bunch of other fun stuff. It's also got a couple potential downfalls, and we're going to touch on the good and the bad. And if you appreciate that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. Now, normally with a front kitchen, I would begin with the kitchen in the front. That would make a lot of sense, certainly, but we're not doing that because one of the things I think this does well that maybe it doesn't get enough credit for is it has an awesome direct viewing entertainment center. Now, Catalinas don't ship with a TV by default. The Legacy series, you can add a TV as an option. It's one of those things where I feel most of the time you can get a bigger and or better TV not getting the TV straight from the manufacturer. So sometimes it's kind of better to, you know, allow somebody to sort of pick their own. Now, a full theater seat in a Catalina is not something we've seen a lot of, and I love that little wireless phone charger in there, and I do like all the windows that wrap around the slide, but a couple things here. This RV is a little more price sensitive, so certain things like slide side breeze windows, it does not have those. And I hope you appreciate the transparency and the candor on things like that. Like, it would have been very easy just to pull the window shades like down or halfway across the window to make it kind of look like it's a breeze window, but I don't want to do that. And if you see somebody doing that, just get away from them because they're going to keep being shifty with you. Now, they went away from carpet in the slide flooring this year, which I think is cool. And Coachmen seems to be doing kind of the same thing Keystone is, where they're intentionally cutting the carpetless flap over the top of the slide a little bit short. And sometimes that makes the slide look like it's levitating a little bit. But here's the thing. A floor flush slide is not and never really truly has been totally floor flush. That's kind of a generalized phrase for it. Kind of like Four Seasons RVs aren't necessarily guaranteed for any and all four seasons in literally any climate. So, you know, there's certain little misnomers like that where the verbiage has tripped people up. Anyway, unless you're in like Newmar custom diesel pusher money, your floor flush slides typically are not truly floor flush. So there's a little bit of a nub there. That's part of the reason manufacturers did carpet for so long, because the carpet kind of masked the little bump into the slide. Now, you can get these with a larger 15K air. You can get them 50 amp. You can get them with a second AC installed. We're not going to see that today, but those are available things. And I do like the taller 6'9" ceiling and the light bright color palette. It really opens things up here. But I'm going to give them some serious credit. They, I think, really knocked out a really good front kitchen for a more of a budget sensitive brand. You know, I've seen some very high dollar laminated stuff not do, in my opinion, this good of a job on a front kitchen, like the good overhead cabinet space and all of that extra cabinet space, the really good deep counter space that you have here. That's a result of that custom front end that I mentioned to you. By the way, what do you think of this trend of no glass top cover over stoves? For a lot of years, people really, really liked it. Now, it almost feels like people are moving away from it. So maybe some actual owners have some experience out there helping shape that. But this funny little pocket up here is an area where almost any builder of a front kitchen kind of like, what do we do with this, you know? Now, there is a little bit of a lip right here so that you... you know, you can put some stuff in there like a basket or something like that so it doesn't just go flying around. Now, it's no fancy big convection microwave. It's not a giant oven, but they're still including a propane oven where most don't. And like most builders, they seem to think that baking grease does not fly sideways, so they don't have any sort of, you know, splash guard beside the stovetop next to this big 12-volt compressor fridge that we have over here. They are still using a variation of the LCI One control system over here. So you know, you do have a physical switch panel, which I like. But if you want to go Bluetooth digital with the thing, you can do that. Where that's kind of nice is when you're outside. If you want to open your awning while you're outside and not go in and out of the camper, you can do that. Or with these slides over here, what if there's maybe something like a park power post and you want to make sure one of those slides doesn't bump it? You can use your phone to remote control those slides open. And you can, you know, be outside to physically line of sight them, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Cracking open all the storage over here. Again, we kind of started with the living room. Why not start right down here at the electric space heat and Tootsie Toaster fireplace kind of storage? And I mentioned earlier, this RV has a double pantry. I think I mentioned that when the video began. As we go through this, we've seen one pantry. You're going to see another one to the left of the kitchen counter. There's yet a third pantry beside the theater seats. That's something I'm going to give them some serious credit for. They utilized like every little nook and cranny they possibly could. There's even a bonus drawer in the theater seat, plus the dinette benches have storage. Now, if you prefer table and chairs, that is also available. You do not have to get just a booth. Or if you prefer a hide-a-bed, you could do something like that too. So like right now, you know, you've got your main bed in the back, and then you have your big theater seat with the population controlling fixed hard armrest. But you know what? What if you hate that armrest? This is not a one-piece sofa. A lot of RV furniture is actually sectionalized. If you wanted to, you could actually physically remove that middle section and then basically hook the other two together like a love seat and have room for like a little side stand or something beside you. I don't know if I've ever really talked about that, but RV furniture is generally speaking very modular and could be taken out. So we have a regular viewer, Mr. Richard Vale. He despises a hard fixed armrest between him and the lady love of his life. And that's cool. I respect that. So that you know, sir, you could often physically remove those armrests and then, again, like I said, you know, do something else with it. It just depends on what you want to do with the space necessarily. Now, where this one gets a little tricky for some folks is the bathroom. This layout and this design, to keep the length in check, it kind of requires a radius shower. We're going to get there in a second. As long as we're staring at the toilet, give you a look at it's very fluffy friendly. Lots of hip, lots of elbow and shoulder room. I will say, I kind of wish they would have extended that countertop over a little bit because basically no functional counter space here, although you do have a decent sized medicine cabinet. We have, again, that radius shower wrapped around the corner because the shower kind of wraps partially behind the entertainment center. Now, the RV is taller, 6'9" floor to ceiling, so a little over 6 foot, I can stand in it, no problem. But elbow room is sometimes a trick for some folks in these radius shower things. Now, if you look at it, you almost look at it and go, well, they had room for a rectangular shower. A rectangular shower could probably physically fit, but it may not, like the door to get into the shower wouldn't be at a location that you could probably utilize it. Now, it is a pass-through bathroom, and where that's kind of cool is like if you have somebody sleeping on your dinette, or if you get the hide-a-bed, or in the living room or whatever, you still have privacy, and you might have noticed how neither of the bathroom doors are a peekaboo, I smell you door. I didn't mean to come into the bedroom from this direction. It's got me kind of off kilter a little bit, but hey, we're just going to work with it. I love the USB plugs right in the slide sides with those little phone shelves. Now, from the factory, and hear me out here, don't tune out immediately, the factory ships with a short queen because that's basically all the Catalina brand stocks in their facility. But if you notice, there's tons of room for a true queen. I think you could probably go up to about a 72-inch wide mattress, at least a 70 by 80 kind of RV king. You might be able to do a 72 by 80. You could certainly do an Olympic queen without even batting an eyelash. That's 66 wide and 80 inches long. So it's a short queen by default from the factory, but it'd be absolutely nothing to take this backbreaker death wafer mattress, chuck it out well, you've got a direct entry bedroom door over here that you could utilize and replace it with something else. Now, this is interesting. This floor plan comes with one single cube organizer, but it doesn't exactly have a spot to slot it, so I guess you put it wherever it works best for you. I don't know, but that is apparently how Catalina do. Now, if you do go with 50 amp in the second air conditioner, that would be installed back here in the bedroom, and it will take the place of that ceiling vent right there. But one of the really cool things about this floor plan is this huge closet across from the bed. By putting the closet across from the bed, they have minimized, they kept the RV from being longer, which I think is really smart. They flat so many elements in this floor plan. They flat, we'll say, borrowed, are indeed from Rockwood, rip off and duplicate. But it's an amazing floor plan. I don't really criticize them for it, and it's something that you can get for a chunk less money, So yeah, I think we've kind of taken a look around it. Let's shut her down for road mode. But as I mentioned previously, this one has what I call two-stage travel access, where when the slides close, you can't directly walk from front to back. You do need to use your exterior doors to kind of navigate. So back here, if you're looking to take a nap or take a crap, as I like to say, you can get back there. Now, though, what I'm looking at here, and I can't promise you anything because the manufacturer doesn't offer any sort of written guarantees, but I see that the bed is on roller casters right down at the end of the bed, which makes me think that it is supported if you were to lay on it or like climb over it while the slide is retracted. But since the manufacturer doesn't specifically test for that, I can't actually promise. That will be a case of use common sense. And remember, you break it, you bought that repair. But your front door here, this will get us into the kitchen space. But just to kind of complete the visual, take a dog leg look left. You can see that there's just no chance of being able to, pass through the RV with this big super slide closed. That's one of the tricks of having two big slides in one, I don't know, I'm not going to call it smaller, but like medium-sized RV. But you can get to the sink, you can get to some counter space, you can get to the fridge. So it has some good function, just not from A to B direct. It's not A+ access necessarily. Now, I need to clarify something first and foremost while we're taking another look at the weights and measures here. You might see this one outfitted with slide awnings, and when we wrap around the other side of the trailer, we're going to see some things like a ladder and a TPMS system. Those are not part of this Catalina. I didn't notice the slide awnings, and nobody mentioned this to me, but this RV is actually getting ready to leave. So basically, I saw it parked here. I'm like, oh, cool, it's in a great spot. I'll go ahead and do my video. And then I find out after the fact, somebody's basically buying this camper. So after I go through it, thankfully, we have it scheduled for like an inside and outside cleaning. So, I'm not going to leave any footprints in somebody's brand new camper. But to the owners of the new Catalina, boy, you sure didn't let it get old on the lot. I barely had a chance to get a hold of this thing. Anyway, so again, the curvature on the front of this sucker is different from what you'd find in the rest of the Catalinas. They normally have a little bit more of a sweepback design. It almost looks like they borrowed the curvature of a Rockwood front end on this, put that windshield on the front. But what they're doing is, if you notice, the nose cap, basically, not actually cap, but the front end of it is curling over the tongue a little bit, and that's creating the extra space and headroom to mount overhead good cabinet space in this without it bashing you in the forehead, or simply not having overhead cabinetry. A lot of manufacturers won't custom design a front end like that just for a floor plan, so I'm kind of glad they did it overall, actually. Now, I mentioned this before. RVs have ups and downs, goods and bads. One of the tricks with this one is it doesn't really have a full outside pass-through storage compartment. You've got a little compartment here kind of under a corner of the sink that you can't get to, where your solar charge controller and your TPMS prep would be located. Although we obviously installed the actual TPMS unit in this. That's one of the nice things about stuff being prepped. You can just plug the unit in and it's easy. I will say though, I would personally prefer it if that charge controller were inside near the rest of the control panels. To me, it makes more sense to have it inside, but that's just me. The stovetop vent hood straight above the water heater exhaust does vent outside. The awning does cover both doors, so I'm going to give it some points for that. It feels like maybe it could have been slid a little bit backwards, but now that I'm looking at it, that actually is not a small awning by any means, is it? That's a healthy, good-sized awning. This is a little thing, but I love it on Catalinas. This little metallic fender flare trim that they have right here. Some manufacturers won't do anything at all, and to me it always looks cheap. And some manufacturers will do plastic. Plastic can get brittle in the sun, and when you start wind buffeting it going down the road, if it gets Jimmy buffeted, may he rest in peace now. Geez, maybe, wow, it just kind of occurred to me. We just lost Jimmy Buffett. Anyway, I tell you, talk about a dude that just lived his best life. Man, we should all aspire to be as maybe happy as that guy. Ooh, hello. Little barley poppinator in the upper left-hand corner right there next to Dad's medicine cabinet. Now, the refrigerator is directly above. Oh, what I was getting at with the fender trim, if the plastic ones get brittle from the sun and wind buffeted, they can crack. Well, you don't have to worry about that with metal. And there is, of course, a gas grill quick connect underneath that stovetop. And these do have an enclosed underbelly as well. And as I mentioned when the video began, you're going to get a little remote control because it's one of those like 16-color multi-strobe party action lights that if you leave it on all night, you're going to drive your neighbors nuts. So, you know, just remember, if you're going to park, be a cool neighbor. When it's quiet hours, turn your outside lights off. Just be decent. If you're actively out there, you know, enjoying your campsite, that's one thing. If you're just sleeping inside and leave all your outside lights on, be decent, turn your lights off. They are finally prepped for a telescopic removable ladder, so you can get up to that fully walkable roof. And they are also offering a 200-watt solar package, which is what we're looking at here. That's why it had that charge controller installed. By default, it is just going to be solar prepped, but they are finally offering a factory package. Now, in the back here, they have that fold-down cargo rack. It's got about a 200-pound capacity, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it's in the up travel position right now, but you can drop that down. You can mount bikes to it, cargo, small generator, depending on where you're going to go. There's a lot of fun little things you can do with it. And one of the important things I didn't want to miss over here is the storage under the bed, because this is hands down the biggest chunk of storage you have. But if you notice, you can kind of see a little glimmer of light coming in through the windows on the other side. Because the bed slides and it actually goes above the main cabin floor, like you might notice where there's a little bit of a level change right here, it's not completely flush to the floor. So if you are sweeping around stuff, make sure you kind of, you know, sweep out under the bed as well. So when I began this video, I mentioned that they're not the only ones building this model. In the video description, I will leave you some links to some other builders making a layout like this. Also, a link back to our website where you can see if we have one of these in stock and what we're asking. Now, recently, I've had a bunch of people asking for some videos of Forest River Aurora travel trailers. What a lot of people don't realize is that Aurora is a Catalina. It's literally built by the Catalina people. It's the same relationship as like Salem Wildwood, but for whatever reason, it's branded under Forest River, not Coachmen. So Aurora is Catalina. So you can find which floor plans translate because their model numbers are slightly different. Watch my Catalina videos, and there you go. I'm getting you a 2-for-1 today, which is kind of nice. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.